We have now learned about the object class and the toString method. And the next thing I want to do is to use the toString method to show you how it works. So over here we can add a new line and type print, and then within brackets employee.toString, like this. And just as a reminder, we can do this because employee is a subclass of person, which in turn is a subclass of object. And instances of type employee have access to all the methods and properties of all their superclasses. So if we run this code, we get now a line that says instance of employee. And this is what is returned by the toString method in the object class. So this is good because it helps us to find out the class name of the instance being used. However, we would like to make the toString method a bit more useful and specific for the classes that we have created. So to do that, we could implement the toString method in the person class. And another way of saying this is that we are going to override the toString method of the object class. So let's do this. In the person class, here I'm going to type in string and then toString with brackets and then arrow operator, and then within single quotes I can type in name colon dollar name with string interpolation and then comma age colon dollar age and then height colon dollar height, like this with a semicolon in the end. So if we run the code again at this stage, we can see that on the console log we get name Andrea, age 34 and height 184. And this is the string that is returned by the toString method in the person class and not the one from the object class. And this is because we have overridden the toString method. In general, the way that method overriding works is like this. When we call a method on an instance of a specific class, such as the employee in this case, the Dart runtime will check if the current class implements that method. In this case, the toString method is not implemented by the employee class. So what Dart does is to look up at the superclass, which is person. And in this case, it finds the toString method that we have just implemented. And if the person class didn't have an implementation for toString, then Dart would go another level up and use the toString method in the object class. So this is how method overriding works. By the way, when we override methods from superclasses, we should remember to add an @override annotation above the method that we are overriding, like this. Okay, so if we want, we can take things further and we can also define the toString method in the employee class. So over here, I can add a new line and type @override and then string toString with parentheses, then arrow operator, and within double quotes, I can type dollar, open and close braces, and inside here, super.toString, and then comma, tax code, colon, dollar tax code, and then the same for the salary, like this, and a semicolon in the end. So we can run the code again, and on the console log we can see that the toString method from the employee class is now used. And the way this works is that here we get the result of calling toString on the superclass, which is person, and then we use string interpolation and add the tax code and salary as well. In summary, in this video we have learned how to use method overrides. And if some of this content is not entirely clear to you, then don't worry, because we will have time to look at more examples going forward. For now, the key takeaway is that if we want, we can implement the toString method in our classes, and this is helpful when debugging our code and printing things to console. As a final observation, I want to point out that here I could just say print employee and omit the .toString syntax, and this will have the same effect. And the reason for this is that the toString method is called automatically when we pass an object to a method that takes an object as an input, such as the print method. Okay, so we have now completed our overview of inheritance in Dart. In the next videos, we will introduce some new features of the Dart language, and to do that, we will start with a fresh new pod. So over here, I'm tapping on new pod, and I'm going to discard the current one. And then we have a fresh new pod. So let's continue on the next video.